All right. In another video, I talked about breaking the fourth wall and even breaking the soul wall, where an artist might sort of play God and talk to a viewer, giving them a sort of experience, utilizing the experience as a sort of mouthpiece for what they really wanted to say, but they used like an entire world to express it. So it's something it made me something I've also considered before is how to create glitches in the Matrix. And so we know what the film The Matrix is. A lot of us do. But I want to draw attention to a little bit more to like how the medium is the message in this. So the first thing that came to my mind was there are people who play video games for a living, and some of them there are some that are what they call speedrunners, and a lot of times they will create glitches in the game to do things that weren't originally intended by the developer of the game to complete the game even faster than thought humanly possible. So that's a glitch in the Matrix in the context of the game. So like, how does one do that in the context of a game? So they can't control the structure that the developer had set into place. However, they can control the character. So a lot of the glitches that they might make has a lot to do with taking that character and jumping into a wall in a weird way, or going to a level that you're not really supposed to with like some sort of trick. So they can manipulate the character to mess with the world around it. So creating glitches in the Matrix is very similar to this. How so musicians, now it's not exactly the same thing, but they try to do the same thing with their instruments. For years, musical instruments, especially with synthesizers, were very undesirable. We have much better technology for synthesizers now. They have what's called like analog modeling systems, which basically digital synthesizers can mimic the sounds of analog synthesizers. And all analog synthesizers did was they had physical moving parts like a clock. Like it was actually like an acoustic guitar, which is incredible, right? But the analog synthesizers would never really do things the same way once. They had a sort of algorithm to do things differently each time. So before analog synthesizers, well, I shouldn't say that. A musician might use a digital synthesizer because they don't have enough money to buy an analog synthesizer. And they might try to mess with the conventions of the synthesizer to get it to do things it wasn't originally intended to. So I could list a couple other examples, but I've probably already said quite enough. We can do this in real life, everyday life too. And I mentioned this about breaking the fourth wall in the other video, but creating glitches in the Matrix, there are responsible ways of doing so, and there's, if you're not really sure what's going to happen, you're going to get some unexpected results. So I used to be one of these people who liked doing uncomfortable things and getting uncomfortable reactions out of people. Not so much anymore. I desire something a little more deeper, because we're used to like truth being, the brutal truth, or people expressing things in a way to kind of like shock people. I don't desire that anymore. I think that's kind of like just the beginning. I think a really skillful fourth wall break or a glitch in the Matrix is when you are actually very caring and careful of the person that you're trying to break the fourth wall or create a glitch in the Matrix with. You actually really want to be considerate that you aren't violating any boundaries unless they are asking you, yes, I would like my boundaries to be pushed in a healthy, expansive way. So I think a lot of my videos are kind of where I'm attempting to do this with you, where I'm really not trying to make anyone wrong. I don't even necessarily see the world through a problems lens. I just try to share some of the weird behaviors of this world and how we're not really, maybe we're not creating what we think we are. Um, and I also try to examine this even with myself, like, especially since I'm interested in the creative process, like how I want to be responsible in what I create. Just because something makes me a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean I'm creating something healthy for our society, right? Um, you got a lot of that going on in video games where they're very addictive. They had like a free to play platform where they would constantly advertise throughout it, and the only way to advance is through advertisement, and to the point where they were mining you. I don't want to have a parasitic effect on society or my interactions. I want to make sure what I'm doing is actually creating more health and a spirit of expansion. Um, so I'm not sure whether any of this would be fascinating to any of you. I just thought if you're interested in creating and breaking conventions, but doing so in a healthy, mindful way that is respectful of everyone else, I think it's a subject that's very worth, like, it's kind of a lack, there's a lot to be desired in that, right? There was a point where the internet, and it can still be this way, was getting very disrespectful with their interactions. Um, People talk about the internet like it's not real life, but it is a component of real life. And just because people are more willing to be disrespectful on the internet doesn't change the fact that it's really happening. Um, I don't know why any of us both think that we can be more indecent just because someone can't see us, or maybe it's because they won't be held as accountable, or whatever. But I also have noticed that people are getting better at that now too. So I don't want to just draw attention to that. Probably, maybe even since 2020, since people have been on the internet way more during that lockdown. Um, but yeah, in essence, I'm saying that we are always making a glitch in the matrix. If you repeat the same information over and over and over again, sometimes you're doing this to like improve it. You're trying to get to the next level with it. Maybe not next level. You're trying to expound it so that more consciousness can be put together, right? Uh, there's that. But if we are repeating something to the point where it's getting us nowhere and it's like a record skipping loop, that's a problem, right? We're not actually furthering the conversation, but we're kind of creating a loophole that doesn't actually want to go anywhere different. I find this stuff very useful when you want to make something that speaks to your soul, but not only, whenever it does that, it's more likely to speak to someone else's soul, right? Um, well, that's all for now. I just thought I think it's fascinating to kind of see the world around you, not just only in a lens of you trying to create artistic expressions, but you're also noticing that the world around you is artistic expressions. And to kind of study that natural phenomenon makes us a more skilled artist or creator. And just thought it was fascinating to share here. I hope you enjoyed that and have a lovely day or evening.